Okay, so how do we keep up with a world that's constantly changing? You know, attitudes towards work, attitudes towards having your own business, attitudes towards employment. How do we keep up with a world that's constantly changing? Especially if you're over 50, we're used to working really hard and working for every penny that we earn, but is the world changing? Well, yeah, the world is changing for sure. I mean, even if you're self-employed, um, do you have to work for every single penny that you earn? Are you tired? You know, are you tired of working two jobs? Are you tired of having even three jobs? I know some people that have three jobs. Wow, and they're tired. How do you, how do you how do you sort of keep up with the changes in the society? Are you fatigued by the amount of work you have to do just to be able to pay your mortgage, just to be able to pay the bills, your utility bills? Buying things for your children. Are you tired of having to work for every single penny that you earn? Well, that's quite an interesting concept, isn't it? This is where social media comes in. Attitudes towards work have really changed. If you're keeping your eye on the button, you can see that attitudes towards work has really changed. I mean, when I was growing up, it was, you go to school, you may go to university maybe, or go to college, university, but you'd get a job, and then you would work, and then that's how you earn money. That's how it was, back in the day. It was you work, you earn, work, you earn, work, you earn. And it's always been like that, for people who, over 50, over 60, that's what we're used to, we're used to that. Even if you have your own business, we're used to working for every penny, you might get a little bit more when you have your own business than being employed. But it's interesting. So what's changed? What has changed? So I tell you what's changed. Social media has really changed a lot of things in terms of work, how people work, attitudes towards work, the type of work, and how work can be successful, how businesses can be successful. Social media does play quite a large part in that. I was listening to Dodash. She's a fellow YouTuber, a very successful YouTuber, very encouraging, motivating. Yeah, she's wonderful. And it's so it's as though, yeah, I was listening and I was quite inspired by what she was saying about work and social media, how that actually affects and impacts the success of your work, your business. And it is true, we do see a lot of businesses closing down. Wherever you live, whatever town, you see businesses that seemed successful, and next minute they have closing down sale. Closing down sale. There's a lot of that. In the town where I live, there are a few places that have closed down, and that surprised me. We're getting used to seeing shop windows, just almost boarded up, or just nobody's in those premises. Businesses that you thought, were doing well, suddenly they're closed down. Okay, some of that could be due to retirement. Yes, but pretty often than not, it's because the sales aren't there. And so why is that happening? Okay, I know people are shopping online for a lot of things. That is what's happening as well, online. And so for people who are over 50, over 60, these are changes that we need to be aware of. Our online presence. We need to be aware of our online presence. Has it gone dark? Or, so I'm just checking, make sure you can still see me. Yeah, but we need to be aware of our online presence. It's very, sometimes it's hard for people who are not, brought up with technology, with especially social media, to sort of learn how to switch over to it. I mean, do we really want to be on TikTok? Do we really want to be on, some of us might be on Facebook already, but maybe not too much. We're just on there just to keep in touch with what's going on. Maybe Facebook Marketplace, we're doing that, keeping an eye on what we can buy, what we can sell. But if you want to be successful in business, or in business, I would say, you do need to get a presence on social media. You need to be more active. This is what I'm learning. We need to step it up a bit, because it's not just about the business. And it's so true. We can be hiding behind these businesses. And I know it's very true of massage therapists in particular. We like to do the work. We're not terribly good at marketing ourselves. We don't like to be out there, because we're in there. We're normally in these very relaxing treatment rooms, giving beautiful treatments, amazing treatments to people, to clients. And we don't particularly want to be out there marketing ourselves. But what's changed is that people are buying from you because it's you. People are buying from your business because of you, who you are, because of who you are. So if they don't know who you are, there's no connection then, is there? So social media does matter. It's quite important these days. And it takes a little getting used to if you're not used to that. Like I say, we weren't brought up with it. Well, I certainly wasn't brought up with it, and it's a new phenomenon. But things are changing in the workplace, in attitudes towards work. I mean, even if you're going for a job, employers will look at your social media presence just to get to know you more. That's a fact, I think. Most people will have, check out your social media presence, and they feel that they can get to know you that way. They'll have a connection. So if you don't have a social media presence, it may be time to start looking at that. If you have no clue how to use things like Instagram, TikTok, even Facebook, YouTube, if you have children, grandchildren, ask them for advice. They will be able to help you. Or if you have, nieces, nephews, or some younger person, they'll be able to help you to get onto these platforms. And it's not scary, really. All you need to do is be yourself. If you have interests that you don't think are very important for people to hear, share those interests. Share it. I mean, I have curly hair. There might be some people who might be interested to know how I do my hair. They might not be interested either, but you never know. There might be some people that might. Currently, it's a bit needs shaping, but generally speaking, you get the drift. If there's something that you do in your day and you take it for granted, that nobody's interested, share it because people are interested. If there's a hobby that you have, whether you play an instrument, whatever it is, share it. Don't just share your business and just say, oh, this is what I sell, buy from me, basically. Also share a little bit about your life. People do like to hear the real person behind the business. We can't hide behind businesses anymore. Attitudes have changed. Social media has really, really impacted the way people view life. We view life through social media. Whether you like it or not, it's just a fact. There are many businesses closing down because there is no connection. People will buy from you. Like, for example, where I am, in my town there are quite a few massage therapists, you know. Does it bother me? No, not at all. I certainly can't serve the whole of my town, so I'm really grateful for their help, basically, to cover the area, you know. So, but people, that kind of thing doesn't bother me at all, because people will come to you because of who you are, you know. You might be offering similar services, but they will come if they relate to you, you know. They'll come and be loyal to you if they relate to you. Now, can you imagine if you have a social media presence as well on top of that, you know, and you share a few other things rather than just, you know, the services that you provide or the products that you provide. You know, people like to get to know you as a person, you know, warts and all, basically, you know. I mean, my hair is just far too long at the moment, you know. It really needs just getting in my eyes. I mean, even little things like that, people are curious. You know, I think people are naturally curious about other people and find people quite interesting. And so don't take these little things for granted. You know, if you have anything that, you know, that you can share, you know, just to show that you're a real person, basically, and that you are like them. You know, you're like the viewer. The viewer wants to know that, you know, that you are like them, relatable. Yeah, connection. Because sometimes it's easy when you see someone through a screen like this, we're looking at each other through a screen, it's easy to assume that that person is either better than you in some way, you know, more superior than you, more knowledgeable than you, more clever than you, you know, just better than you in general, because you can see them on a screen. But if you can show people, the viewer, that you have warts as well, you know, you do burp out of place occasionally, you know, I'm sweating right now. As you can see, my hair's in my face. I'm not perfect at all, and I'm just like anybody else. It's more encouraging. People will be motivated to listen to you because you are relatable. Hopefully I'm relatable with this, you know. Just, you know, I'm just not perfect at all. I'm sitting here sweating, I'm hot, but I thought I'd just hop on here and make this video. I've just finished work and I'm on my way home, but I thought I'd because I'm the only one at home really at the moment, so I thought I would just hop on here and, you know, before I get home, because once you get home and start doing other things, you know, just nothing gets done. Yeah, I am like that, you know, as well. So I thought I'd stay in the car and do this video for you because it was inspiring. I think it's very important to recognize, especially if you're over 50, that social media makes a difference. It has actually created a lot of change in the way people see the world of work, you know. Like you said, you can't hide anymore. You can't hide anymore behind employment or these businesses that we may have, you know, because there needs to be a social media presence so that people can have this connection. It seems that it's almost becoming the norm now, you know, it is becoming the norm. And if you're not careful, you can get left behind, you know, so do not get left behind. It's something that we can get into. And once, you know, if you get a younger person to show you how to do it, it's not that difficult, you know, and just have to be yourself, really. That's what people want to see, yourself. Clients want to see you, you know, they don't just want to see you in the confines of your business, you know. Like for me, I'm just always in black, but I'm generally in black anyway. Even outside of work, but or light grey. But you know, people, you know, they say, oh, some people I say, oh, I've never seen you in your CVs before, and I'm thinking, okay, you know, maybe I need to share a little bit more about myself, you know, life outside of work. But yeah, it's an important thing to get, actually, not to miss. You know, on a serious note, don't miss it, because I think there's a lot of potential, you know. The world of work has changed. It's changing. Small businesses are being shut down because of the online presence of other businesses. But if you have a business, you also need a social media presence so that there's a connection. That's what I'm noticing, and that is interesting. I mean, maybe you guys all get it, you know, and I'm the one that's been living under the rock. Under a rock, yeah? You know, maybe that's the case. I mean, maybe I'm the one that's just late to the party kind of thing, so to speak, you know, but I thought I'd just share what just came to light for me. It's like the penny just dropped. Oh, yeah, that is so true. Maybe a bit late to the party, but, you know, don't miss it. And then there may be some of you who haven't, you know, who have never really thought about that so seriously. So if you're at the stage where you have a business already, you know, try and look into the social media side and let people engage with you as a person. People need to know who you are as a person, who I am as a person, you know. I'm just like this. You know, I'm in the car chilling, just finished work. So I'm on my way home, here doing a video for you, YouTube. Just the same as anyone else, you know, I'm just the same. I mean, I just have a very basic iPhone phone, an iPhone, an old one. So, you know, if I can do it, you can certainly do it, you know. But I think it's really worth investigating social media presence and looking into that. Look at TikTok, you know, like I say, grab a young person, they will show you if you're not sure how to do it, you know, and just be yourself, you know. If whatever your hobbies are, you can share that. It doesn't matter what it is these days. People just want to know you. They're just curious about who you are. They can make connections with you as a person. I mean, years gone by, you know, you could have a business. Sorry, I'm just really pouring with sweat. It's really hot. I've got the windows wide open. It's just so hot. I should wind this one down a bit more. Ooh, it's hot. Oh, that's better. A bit more breeze. Yeah, but yeah, years gone by, you know, you could have a business and you could, you know, you'd just be like it would just be in the community, wouldn't it? Your business, and you would do well, you could thrive that way. But no longer, not anymore. It's not like that anymore. It's it just dawned on me really how important an online presence is alongside a business that you're running, so that people get to know you as a person, warts and all, things that go wrong, you know, things that go right. It doesn't matter what it is, you know. People just like to see you as a human being, somebody you can relate to. And it's almost like, you know, yeah, I think social media is interesting in the sense that you don't have to pretend, though. You can just be yourself, you know. You can just be yourself. So you don't, because if you start pretending that you're somebody that you're not, it's not sustainable. You know, it isn't very sustainable. I mean, wow, I'm just sweating buckets. It's not sustainable. So just be yourself, you know. That's all people want to see. They want to get to know you as a person. And also, you get to discover yourself as well, really, in a way, because you become more and more authentic. You know, you realize, you know what, there is no pretense. People don't want to see the really polished version of you all the time. I mean, sure, you know, you don't want to be like, you know, sort of, how can I say, you know, you share what you're comfortable with, basically. Yeah, share what you're comfortable with, but just be yourself. Don't worry about, you know, dressing up and all that. You know, just, I mean, like I said, I've just come from work. I'm actually sweating buckets. I'm not really at my best at the moment, but it doesn't matter because I'm being relatable. You know, it's a hot day. My hair's in my face. Just, you know, but it's yeah, it's really interesting, actually, the way things are changing. It really is. So get that connection on social media. People need to know who you are. You know, especially if it's you know, you have a business, or if you're self-employed. If you're employed, you're self-employed, get onto social media. Employers are checking out certain social media, so even if you're just, you know, applying for work, try and get onto social media, and just be yourself. I think that's really it, isn't it? It's just learning to be who we are. In fact, discover who you are. Yeah, discover who you are is really important. And the only thing is that we need to do with social media is just share that with the world, basically. You know, it's just about being who we are at the end of the day. You know, it's not that difficult, is it, really? And I think it's very interesting to me, because you know, the facades can drop. You don't have to keep a facade. That is hard work, keeping up a facade, isn't it? You know, and maybe years gone by, that's what we were kind of taught to do, really. You know, stiff upper lip kind of thing. But nowadays, it's more about authenticity, just being yourself, as you know, as much as you know yourself, that is. Because a lot of us don't know ourselves, you know, we're still discovering ourselves. So, you know, it's warts and all, people, you know, just share everything. People are very interested, you know. It can be a bit scary at first, so to start off, just share what you're comfortable with, you know, that's what I would say. And, you know, grab a young person, help them to, you know, get them to help you if you don't know anything about TikTok, YouTube. YouTube's an easier one probably to start with, but then everything's easy once you know how, isn't it? Once somebody shows you the ropes. So yeah, that's just something to really think about, people. Don't miss that boat. Don't miss it, because yeah, that is definitely something we need to get into. Okay, so yeah, I'll see you. I've got to go home now. So yeah, see you in the next video, okay? Hope it's been useful to you.